Good afternoon, everybody. James Hancock here, back to do a reaction video to the new full-length trailer of Suspiria. I would have done it earlier today, but I was in jury duty all day. But luckily, because August is a pretty calm time here in New York, they let us out early, and now I am ready to sink my teeth into a trailer that I've slowly but surely kind of come around to being excited for. As you can probably gather from my Beyond t-shirt, the Lucio Fulci film, I am a fan of Italian horror, and if you're a fan of Italian horror films, whether you're more of a fan of traditional giallo films or more a fan of like the really crazy supernatural stuff, just about all of us will agree that the original Suspiria from director Dario Argento belongs in the pantheon of great Italian horror films, or if you want to say it belongs in the pantheon of just great horror films period, or even that it might be the best horror film ever made, I would have no problem with any of the above statements. So while ordinarily I would fight a remake of a classic horror film tooth and nail, ordinarily I would do so because they tend to be defanged, declawed, PG-13, really shitty Hollywood remakes of established classics. And I feel like when it comes to horror, leave the classics alone and try to make some new stuff in the spirit of those great classics. And when considering a remake of Suspiria, it's a really odd choice because if you actually look at like the script or just the structure of the original Suspiria, it's a little threadbare with a bunch of plot holes. But the reason the original Suspiria is considered such a masterpiece is that when it comes to style and tone, music, atmosphere, just a nightmarish architecture in which a story can take place, Suspiria has very few rivals. The first time I saw Suspiria, luckily, was at a theater in LA, and it was just an absolutely intoxicating, hallucinatory experience, and I always have a blast each time I revisit the movie. But the reason I'm allowing myself to get a little excited for this remake of Suspiria is that it's got a lot of really interesting people involved. I hope I'm saying his name correctly, but director Luca Guadagnino, he made a movie a few years ago called A Bigger Splash, which I really enjoyed. It's a very adult, mature, and oftentimes erotic movie, and it had the great Tilda Swinton in it. But more recently, he made the film Call Me By Your Name, which got 3 Oscar nominations and 1 for Best Screenplay for James Ivory. I think James Ivory was the oldest person ever to win the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. But Luca Guadagnino, he doesn't strike me as a filmmaker who's going to be a slave to the original movie. He doesn't strike me as someone who's going to try to do a beat-for-beat remake. He probably is going to take the loose framework or the loose idea and really strike off in his own direction. And the fact that it's got music by Tom York from Radiohead really has me curious. They've got a great cast with Dakota Johnson and Tilda Swinton, as well as Jessica Harper, the star of the original. And most interesting of all to me is the fact that this is a movie being distributed by Amazon Studios. I mean, Amazon Studios 20 years ago, they were selling used books out of a garage. And here in calendar year 2018, they're becoming the home for some of the best independent and foreign films in the world. That really seems to be like the brand and identity they're trying to establish for their company, at least when it comes to original content. So it'll be interesting to see to what extent this film is able to compete with the kind of art house horror that A24 has been putting out in recent years. In any case, I think I've yammered enough at this point. I'm ready to see this trailer. So let's throw down as I go into full screen and start this sucker up in 3, 2, 1.
Beginning, she gave me things. Perfect balance, perfect sleep. Oh, she wants to get inside of me. I can feel her.
I love Tilda Swinton.
She can see me.
Oh. It's Chloe Grace Moretz.
When you dance the dance of another, you make yourself in the image of its creator.
I feel like I'm not even here yet.
The dumpling's incredible.
1, 2, 3.
The way she transmits her work.
You have to decide, what is it you want to be for this company?
There's more in that building than what you can see, Doctor.
You are living with dangerous people.
I can't wait to see this. Oh, actually, I should say, it's opening September 1st at the Venice Film Festival.
Pri God, pri devil. Mother tenebrarum, mother lacrimarum, and mother suspiriorum.
Could be the first of a trilogy if he follows Argento's example.
And sighs.
Ooh.
You're making some kind of deal with them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
people who found Black Swan to be too soft and fuzzy, they've got this.
It's all a mess. The one out there,
This is starting to look insanely cool.
the one in here.
Wow.
The one that's coming.
Woo! I am sold American. I couldn't be more fired up to see what that's all about. Holy cow. Wow, it's so different from the Dario Argento film. The Dario Argento film, just in terms of like the color palette, it's just much more hallucinatory and really intense and really over the top, like overtly stylized. This looks like it's much more grounded and a really nightmarish, disturbing sensibility. As much as I love Suspiria, because at times it's almost cartoony in how over the top it is, with people like falling into pits of barbed wire and things like that, it's hard not to just laugh and enjoy yourself. But it looks like this Suspiria might actually be legitimately terrifying, which would absolutely delight me, because I'm seeing here on IMDb, it's got a 2.5 hour running time. That's a long time to sit still for a horror movie unless it's really doing a good job. So fingers crossed they knock it out of the park, because otherwise people are going to be shifting in their seats, and who knows, maybe if it has a disaster screening at the Venice Film Festival, maybe they will condense it. Because I know in New York and in LA, it's coming out on October 26th, which is actually the same release day as the video game Red Dead Redemption 2. So that'll be a very good day leading up to Halloween. And I think it opens on a wider basis in America on November 2nd, I believe. In any event, the actresses look incredible. I mean, Tilda Swinton at this point, I feel like she's one of the greatest living actresses. If you look at her filmography, it's one of the most exciting filmographies of any actress of her generation. So while my first instinct might always be to be a bitter old man and resist remakes in any way, shape, or form, this really looks like it might be something worthwhile. And also, it looks like it might be so different from the original Suspiria that the two could probably coexist peacefully side by side. Who knows, they might end up even becoming a really interesting double feature. And if the movie's amazing, like I mentioned during my reaction, it could potentially become a trilogy, just like Dario Argento did with his original series. So chalk me up as excited. Originally, I was cautiously optimistic, but I think I'm going to throw my caution to the wind and just allow myself to get really fired up. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm actually more excited to see Suspiria than I am to see the reboot of Halloween. So that's where I stand. You heard it here first, folks. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Hope you enjoyed my reaction and review. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you want to talk about Suspiria or Dario Argento or Lucio Fulci or any of the above, hunt me down on Twitter at Colbrax or leave me a comment in the comments below. But thanks as always for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. Onwards and upwards.